Happy Monday, everybody. All in Crypto here, and welcome back, everyone, for another YouTube video. This is going to be our daily cryptocurrency market update, and we're hopefully going to provide you with everything you need to know for the week ahead in the cryptocurrency markets. We are going to be looking at quite a lot of news involving and excluding the crypto space because today the stock markets are a little bit spooked. I think this has a lot to do with what's going on in China. Cryptocurrency markets are also spooked, and it has quite a bit to do with an Ethereum whale who essentially has moved 73,000 Ethereum to Binance. And we're going to be talking about that. Are they about to dump, or is this just a spook? Over the past couple of days, we've been speaking about the fact that actually, we could see a rally to the upside. And even though we had a sell-off last night, which I think really started, or sell-off last night rolling into this morning, which I think really started as a result of some of your dollar pairs being up. So, for example, the Australian dollar against the United States was down yesterday. This has given a bit of a false start in terms of strength last night going into this morning for the dollar. Since then, the dollar has actually sold off. So it attempted at a rally and is now coming down. Remember when we've given this scenario for a long for Bitcoin and the rest of the cryptocurrency market? It really depends on the dollar and what it does. And we actually do see the dollar being a little bit weaker. Still see the dollar coming up and taking these highs, by the way, guys. But we do actually see the dollar being a little bit weaker for longer before it reasserts. And I think that's going to allow the cryptocurrency market to rally back into areas of liquidity before we set up for that next leg lower. It's my opinion that you do not consolidate for 150 days to sell off a measly 15%, ladies and gentlemen. This is one of the longest periods of consolidation that we've had for Bitcoin since we started this bear market. And I don't think that you've spent all this time consolidating only to drop to this kind of a percentage. And actually, I think you're going to probably retest this range or retest this grind line before you see that further continuation to the downside, which I think is going to be led via macro markets. I think there's going to be something big taking place in the macro markets. But let's talk about it all. Let's get straight into it, guys. The first bit of news I have for you is Ethereum drops as a whale moves 73,000 Ethereum to Binance. On-chain researcher Luke On-chain warned of sell pressure in Ethereum after a whale moved large amounts of the cryptocurrency to Binance. So this is the tweet from Look On-chain. You can follow him at Look On-chain. So credit where it's due, as always. The whale who removed 84,000 Ethereum, $101 million from Curve 3 days ago, is transferring ETH to Binance. This would be a colossal sell pressure, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I doubt he'd sell it all at once. He'd have huge slippage on that. He transferred a total of 73,000 Ethereum, $85 million to Binance, leaving 11,000 Ethereum, around about $13.9 million. Watch out for sell pressure. So maybe this whale continues to dump this, or maybe with whales, often they can send their crypto to an exchange, maybe just to hold it, or perhaps to spook the market. I still am very much looking for upside as the dollar stays weak. We've got gold up today. We've got the UK market down. We've got the futures market down. Of course, the Asian market's down, given what's happening in China at the moment. But I do think, actually, you may finish the day on a green day still. And that is a little bit of a tough call, given the fact that we have broken what was, or I was hoping would act as support and set us up for the longs in the short term. We're now going to have to reevaluate and look for strength or relative strength throughout the day. So this is something to pay attention to. We also have the FTX hacker that has a lot of Ethereum that he may also look to dump, or he's already started dumping. So these kind of a catalyst. It's why in a bear market, you need to be very cautious and have correct risk management if you're going to long. So we've been predominantly short and getting the shorts right. We have been getting longs right, but only on a very small time frame. We're not looking really for swings here. But I still do see a good scenario of Bitcoin at least running back up to 18,000, potentially getting to 19, 20,000. And then, we'll see what the CPI print comes out this month. We'll see what the rate hike comes out this month. There is the scope for more upside before we get that continuation to the downside. The real reason that we're questioning and looking for longs here, of course, is because of this bullish divergence. Last time we had one was going into the March 2020 capitulation. It played out. And then you had this capitulation event. And I'm very much calling for a similar thing to take place with Bitcoin today, ladies and gentlemen, and we will look to capture that up and downside. You know, as a trader, you're not really too fussed. From an investor, of course, you're fussed in getting the direction right and being on the right side of it. But as a trader, you're happy to take both sides of the market, and that is very much a given. Some people feel more comfortable on one side or the other. The traditional markets seem a little bit spooked this morning, and I think this could have quite a bit to do with what's taking place in China, with the policies that they have in place, and the fact that they've gone straight back into full-blown lockdowns. This was something shared from Dillian Leclerc. China is still constructing massive new quarantine camps, so I'm not sure what's going on there, but this... I've seen some really interesting things come out of... Interesting's probably the best way to say it, out of sort of China in regards to what's taking place over there. Now, this has knock-on effects in regards to things like inflation, so on and so forth. So this is definitely something to watch moving forwards. Remember, the macro situation is a very dire one, and even though we are expecting potentially some upside, we do still believe that this is a bear market that will not end until the Federal Reserve and other central banks actually take their foot off the gas and actually undo what they've done, which will allow liquidity, it will unlock liquidity in or from the debt markets, which is colossal, and actually allow it, and there'll be a reallocation from hedge funds, this liquidity as it is, and investors back into markets. And we do not see that yet, and this is a perfect example of the UK property demand slides 44%, which is huge after market rocketing, mini budget study shows. So they blame it on the budget. It's more to do with the interest rates that were set well before the budget. I am totally against what's going on in UK politics at the moment. I think it is a complete and utter shambles. And I am not sure how there isn't a level of protesting against the craziness that the UK government is subjecting their citizens to over the past 2 years plus, and into this shambolic government that is doing... You know, we went from essentially some of the largest tax cuts to some of the strictest within a 50-day period, which is just shows a real lack of direction. We also have minor capitulation that we're looking at, and the fact that, you know, as Bitcoin price is dropping, you do have some miners out there that essentially try and hold on to their Bitcoin and only sell what they need to cover the bills. Well, they may become forced sellers, and that will be an extremely large sell pressure onto the market. So there's lots of basically catalysts right now that could cause the next down leg. We have done lots of study looking at the MACD and a number of other things where we're saying, look, you could be looking at 50% down leg, but how do you get there? For me, it seems very, very obvious, moving on to a little bit of technicals for Bitcoin, that you're just going to drop here. I think the more obvious scenario... Let's go down to an hourly and do some smaller TI. So this is, of course, the period of consolidation that we've had since... This is the FTX spill. Zoom out and give you a bit more of a broader context on everything before we get into it so people know where they are. So we'll go to the 4 hourly and the hourly. So this is the 150-day consolidation. We had the FTX drama. We've capitulated out of it. For Bitcoin, it's only actually been... You know, we're around about 15% down today. And actually, this is from the grind line, not the range. So it's even less from the range. I think that if the dollar stays weak, potentially you're looking at a return move at least to 18k, and it could... There is definitely the scope for it going higher. I think it's far, far too obvious, and I think to start the Monday morning off like this, it almost feels like a trap, right? Maybe you do something like this. But remember, we're not really looking necessarily to long until we get back above this support here. So if you come up, you bump your head on it, maybe you deviate from it and you see that further downside, okay, it is what it is. It kind of goes out the window. And certainly if you sweep these lows, although we may just end up in a period of consolidation again. So I think that something's really going to have to rock the markets to take it aggressively down here. And I think more than likely what's going to happen is you're going to get people piling into shorts again, just like they did over here. Remember, we called this short squeeze beautifully and actually took it long. I think potentially you're going to be looking at some sort of another short squeeze taking place that will maybe bring you outside here. You'll hold this, come up to here. You'll obviously find resistance here, and then we'll see what happens. You know, maybe you do something like this, or maybe you see that continuation to the upside, or at least retest this range, coming back and actually retesting what is a broader trend line. Very common. You didn't really have a nice clean retest of this trend line before you then see that downside continuation. So even though we do think that there is definitely a long scenario that could set up here, again, we've spoken about the fact that this relies on the dollar and it also relies on nothing catastrophic happening within the crypto space, which are you really willing to bet isn't going to happen in this kind of an environment? From a trading point of view, you know, it's a very pernickety environment to try and trade. I can see actually both the setups for the longs and the shorts here, certainly if you drop down the time frames. And for me, it's probably going to be very much a day of sitting on my hands until something presents itself. I could have took both longs and shorts this morning. They would have been right to a degree and then obviously broke even because the market's just very much chopped. But you are, let's drop down these time frames a little bit. On the short term, after this spill, we'll use the 15-minute. You know, you're kind of grinding here, but you're falling out of it. So if you're failing to get above here, look for those shorts. If you come up, you know, you have had a concession of high lows and lower highs, but you need to start doing something here. The fact that you've broken this, and you could actually really draw this as a rising wedge, potentially shows that the market may be primed for downside, but you are having a bit of a weak dollar. However, the dollar was at resistance here, and you can see, for anybody that thinks TA doesn't work, it absolutely does. You broke this resistance, you came back, or you broke this support, you came back. What did you do? You retested it as resistance. You're looking for that downside. So there's a lot you've got to watch today on the short-term time frames and the bigger-term time frames. And ultimately, you know, we're looking for dollar being a little bit softer. Doesn't mean it has to go down necessarily. It just means it has to lull about for a bit. That may give the cryptocurrency market the legs it needs to see continuation to the upside. But for now, it's a very choppy market that I'll probably stay out of. But there's a hell of a lot going on, guys, that you need to pay attention to. Just before I love and leave you, I want to remind people that Tech Reality Check, how the industry lost $7.4 trillion in 1 year. Ladies and gentlemen, the cryptocurrency market only got to $3 trillion. So the tech market has lost double and then some that within a year. We are still exceptionally early, and it's my opinion that in the next 5 years, you are going to see the cryptocurrency market get to the tens of trillions of dollars. And we're going to be along for that journey. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you've enjoyed the video, a like is always appreciated. So is a comment. And I'll see you all in the next YouTube video. Thanks a lot for watching, ladies and gents.